at 988 for free confidential support 24/7. Dial 988 or learn more at michigan.gov/988. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
It's time for the Northern Michigan High School Sports Scoreboard Show on Up North Sports Radio with your host, Rich Calkins.
Time for the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska. Start your stress-free car shopping experience when you search Sarah Kalkaska and Sarah Gaylord. Rich Calkins in studio with you, and Jerry Coyne will be joining me momentarily. And boy, what a night it was last night at Titan Arena in Traverse City, as Traverse City West and Traverse City Central went at it for the second time. Both teams battling for first place. West hoping to be continue the tie with Cadillac. Central hoping to play spoiler, but also it was a chance for them to grab a piece of potentially getting first place. And West dominated the game really for quite a long time, but Central did not give up at all. West had a 20-point lead in that second half, and you think it's over, but Central would not die. They would not give up at all, as they got it within 2 or 3 at one point, and it was just unbelievable. It was a fight the freeze game, meaning donations were going to help out less fortunate individuals in that TCAP school district. And so we had a phenomenal turnout. Pep band was playing. The student sections were both loud and crazy. Just a great Friday night of high school action, with West winning 66-59. And just an incredible overall game, really. Just so loud, so much fun, and so many people got to enjoy it and see it. So just a great time for sure in Northern Michigan. Some of the leading scorers, Caden Stoops absolutely had a monster game for Traverse City West with 19 points. These are all unofficial, of course. Lincoln Lockhart continues his assault as he's trying to go for 1,000 points, as he scored 18. Carter Grubb with 12 points, the junior. Mason Zimmerman with 8. And Winslow Robinson playing his typical tenacious defense there, as he has all year. But we did interview Coach Doug Bauman after the game, and Caden Stoops was our Jimmy John's player of the game. So let's see what Coach Bauman had to say. Welcome back to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Michigan Trailers right here in Traverse City. Head coach Doug Bauman joining Rich Calkins, and also Caden Stoops as our Jimmy John's player of the game. But Coach Doug Bauman, what an atmosphere here for a West Central game, and West coming out on top.
Yeah, we gave them a show tonight. Kind of thought we were going to have it in hand there about the third quarter when we were up 20, and knew that they had a run in them. Just kind of didn't think that they would sustain it as long as they did. To their credit, they knocked down some open threes. We missed some shots that we needed to knock down, at the rim. But ultimately, free throws, we made enough free throws down the stretch, played enough defense to get the job done and stay alive there in the conference championship hunt.
That's right, and that's what I've said all year long, Coach. You don't want to get into a free throw shooting competition with West, because they'll make you pay, and that did down at crunch time. That did pay off.
Yep, and we knew that they would, and you could tell we had some tired legs there, just the way we were coming up short. But again, we knocked it down when we needed to. Lincoln had a real nice, strong game, knocked down some points when we kind of needed to push that 5-7, and then we finished it off at the free throw line.
Coach, I'm always amazed at Central. They've got a freshman over there draining threes from the deep court. A 14, 15-year-old kid, to me, just shouldn't be doing that at a Division I school. You know, it's always shocking to me.
Yep, and you know, Colin did a great job tonight. You know, I think we left him open for a lot of open shots, typically that weren't challenged, but he plays hard, and he'll be a fun one to watch here coming up in the future. But again, the seniors for us stepped up and really showed what caliber they are when it comes down the stretch, and got the W at home.
We did, yeah. What the best atmosphere all season long by far, Coach. The student section was incredible. The pep band, just everybody going back and forth. A nice, healthy rivalry.
It is, and again, like I said, made it a little bit more exciting with the run there and the close game. But just real proud of these boys as always. Caden came in, had a big game for us, really led the way, and yeah, we're moving on, and I couldn't be happier to get this game out of the way.
For sure. Yeah, Coach, we got 3 games next week to close out our final regular season. Final games of the regular season. Monday night right back here with the makeup game against Gaylord. Yep,
we'll give them tomorrow off, come right back Sunday, get some work in on some of the things that I want to improve on from this game and from the Gaylord game, mostly our defensive help side and rotations are, again, just a little slow. We're helping a little too hard, and that's kind of what's giving up those backside open threes. But knowing these boys, they'll buckle down and be ready to go.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Coach. Looking for enjoy your weekend. And Caden's the Jimmy John's player of the game.
He has played well. There were 3 of them that we kind of went back and forth to. You know, Caden had a great game. I think he led us in points and rebounds. Carter Grubb had a fantastic game.
He sure
had
did.
12 points. I think he was up there, 6 or 7 rebounds. Played really well for us overall. And then, of course, Lincoln Lockhart. So those 3 were a toss-up, but ultimately, being our leading scorer, leading rebounder, knocking out some big free throws, I had to give it to Caden.
Yep, great choice. We'll talk to you possibly on Sunday, Coach, for a little pregame.
Yep, I'll be available.
All right.
And I'm not sure what we're going to do now. No football's on, and
I know.
I'm not an NBA guy, so maybe there's a good.
We're not going to stretch out the pregame interview much longer or anything to kill time. So.
Yep, no, that sounds good. But as always, appreciate you guys. I know that snow's coming in, so get home safe, and we'll talk to you Sunday.
We'll do. All right, Coach Doug Bauman. All right.
Thanks.
Caden Stoops joining us here on the postgame show, thanks to Michigan Trailers. Hey, Caden, talk about your senior year now and your last regular season scheduled game against Central.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast the season's gone by. I really didn't think, I was sitting in class yesterday, I'm like, this is the last time I play Central in my regular season. It was just crazy to me. I've been super thankful for everything, and senior night on Monday, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's it's so cool to get 2 victories against them your senior year. Who knows, may match up with them in districts. So that's always a possibility. But okay, you got to tell me a little story about behind the pink shoes here. Okay, because again, we're watching out there on the court, and then when there's certain angles, we can't tell who it is, but we always see the pink shoes. We know it's shoes. So tell us the story behind those bad boys.
Last year I had the beige or kind of gold color ones, and for my senior season, might as well stick out a little bit. So I had the other pink shoes, and those ones kind of broke a little bit, so I had to get a new pair.
Okay, no, I like it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the win. Still tied for first place here in the Big North. Let's get 3 more wins next week, 2 of them in conference, 1 down at Mount Pleasant non-conference, so you can lay your hands to a claim of a conference championship.
Yes, sir. I'm super excited. Looking forward to it.
All right. Congratulations on another win against Central, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
All right. Caden Stoops, our Jimmy John's player of the game, and Lincoln Lockhart is our Fox Motors motivated player of the game. Thanks for tuning in to Up North Sports Radio. You'll join us again on Monday night right back here at Traverse City as it's a makeup game against the Gaylord Blue Devils. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, welcome back. Thanks, Rich, for starting the show.
Yep, no problem.
You saw we got some snow.
We did. Yes, we did. The winter continues here in northern Michigan, man. It has been one of those winters where every time we got to go somewhere, it's snowing, baby.
Yeah, I was a little nervous that it was going to be last night and our ride home was going to be atrocious, but that didn't happen. But, you were very accurate in your description of the game last night. both student section. The West student section has not been as vocal as they have in the past years.
Exactly. Not the traditional West bleacher creatures,
right,
as they call it. But last night, they made up
Lincoln,
for lost time.
Lockhart.
Oh,
I thought they were going to start yelling Jared Goff.
Right. Oh, exactly. No, it was just what a great atmosphere to be a part of.
Yeah.
That's just so much fun.
No doubt about it. And as I was telling you off air, I think Coach Bauman made a mistake. And it's a mistake. Coaches want to control the game, right? Especially, you're like, wow, we're up. Well, they were up more than 20 going into halftime. What was the score at halftime?
Oh, let me double check my notes here. It was West was 35-19 at halftime.
It was a completely dominant first half. I mean, that score isn't even indicative of how much better West played than Central in the first half. But Coach Bauman, obviously in the locker room, told them they wanted to be more deliberate. I don't know if he gave them you got to make the 5 passes, or it's got to be a shot you're going to make.
Yes.
And you cannot pull the reins back on your horses without it having an effect. And it's certainly, I think that's how Central got back into the game.
Yeah, and it was that big lead at half only became an 8-point lead at the end of 3.
Right.
And it was by that time it was a whole new ball game, and it was like hang on for dear life.
It was, Central, which was badly out-rebounded in the first half, got on the boards. Because they were playing a little out of kilter, West they missed some shots they normally make. And credit to them, like you said, they shot their free throws well. That's what won them the game.
It did, exactly. And I mentioned it in our show, our post-game show, and I've mentioned it all year.
Yeah.
That's a good free throw shooting team.
Yeah.
And again, if they have to go to fouling towards the end of games, advantage West. Usually they're going to make most of those. For the team, they're like 75% as a team.
And they got a advantageous whistle.
Oh, yeah.
They certainly got the home calls. There was a few calls that I was like, not so sure about that. And Coach Johnson wasn't so happy with the
He was not happy. No, I was watching him out of my left eye, and I'm like, he was on that one ref, and that one ref, he had cauliflower ear at one point, the ref did, from just Coach Johnson chewing on him.
I'm surprised he didn't sprain his neck. What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it was the same crew we watched. We had done the doubleheader. It was the same crew that called the girls' game.
Yeah.
And they let everything go in the girls' game. I mean, it was just a free
They let
throw
everything go in the first half.
of the first half. And then they changed it and stuff. All you want is consistency.
Yeah.
That's all you want.
Yeah. And, West is not prone to fouling anyways. They play pretty good defense without being really handsy.
Yes.
That I think that has benefited them all year.
No doubt.
I don't think have they had a guy foul out this year?
Winslow Robinson has a couple of times.
Okay.
But he's the only one.
But that's the way. I mean, he is a dog.
He is a dog. He's your designated stopper.
Yeah.
He guards usually the best player of the opposing
It wouldn't
team.
be surprising to know that he's fouled out of a game. Like if I didn't foul out of a game, a coach would yell at me.
Yeah. Well, you're not doing your job.
You've got 5 fouls.
That's right. What, you had 3 this game? You had 2 more to give.
What's wrong with you? That ended up being the difference in the game. The other thing is, and I don't know if this came to you. Obviously you were sitting there with JJ. I was sitting with James Cook, and we were discussing the game as it goes on. What it appears to me is that Central is West 2 years ago.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said in the first game of the Central West matchup. They reminded me of West 2 years ago in the early stages of Doug Bauman's coaching, of West. And so to me, that's what it just reminds me of. And watch out in the years, because again, they've got some young players.
Yeah.
They don't rely on seniors to lead that team. That is a young team that is really going to come on strong.
Yeah, but they play in the exact same style, and the reason why West was so ahead in the first half is that they were just executing that style better than Central.
Yes.
And when they pulled the reins back, that eliminated the advantage that West had.
Yeah, it opened up that door, and they Central came charging through it.
Yeah,
they didn't walk through it; they come charging.
Oh
through
yeah,
it.
they got their opportunity and they took full advantage of it. And I think West is pretty fortunate that they came out with a win. That game could have been lost.
That momentum had fully swung.
Yeah.
And when we went to timeouts during that time, I said, West up by like 6 or 8. But I said, all the momentum is on Central's side right now.
And, and that's what made it so great from a crowd aspect. The Central students were they yelling at each other?
They were.
And at the very end, you can't beat us.
But then they go through, they review every sport that the West has won this year. I mean, they broke out the bowling chant. They broke out everything that West has beat in hockey and everything, football. They went through the whole catalog.
It was fantastic.
It was just hilarious.
Yeah. And that was almost as good as the action on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. And when I can hear them through my headset, that was a loud. I mean, the pep band was just rocking and rolling, and so it was a loud arena, the loudest we've been in all year.
That's what Friday nights are all about. Unfortunately, we haven't seen that this much this year, but I think it kind of changed a little bit for West when a decent amount of kids showed up at St. Francis.
Yes, they did. Yeah, that kind of started it. Yeah, that was a good turn on a Saturday afternoon, where typically kids don't show up to a gym, but they did at that showcase.
Yeah, they had about 25 of the bleacher creatures there, and and unfortunately West came out on the short end of that game against a very good Wayne Memorial basketball team. But I think it kind of emboldened the kids. I mean, you're going to show up for your rival game anyways, but hopefully, that gets the bleacher creatures on top of this, because they have a very good basketball team.
Yeah, yes, they do. And that's what I was harping about on the crowd, complaining a little bit on the air at times, is like, look, West fan, you got a good basketball team here, and they have not been supporting it like they should, I thought, personally, and basing it off of the past 3 years that we've been doing it. And so it just was shocking to me. But last night, again, they just came out in full force, and it was almost all the way up to the ceiling in that one section. Yeah. So it was just incredible for sure.
All in white. It was good. It was an enjoyable evening of basketball. Valentine's Day be damned.
Yeah, exactly. It was the perfect way to celebrate it, I think.
I came home with a pizza at 9:30. Exactly. Cheryl was okay.
Yeah, see? Exactly. Yeah, you covered all your bases then. So, but, all right. We've got Sean Finnegan from Traverse City St. Francis on hold here. They came up on the short end of a 68-55 score against a very good number 1 rated Glen Lake team. But we'll talk to Sean about that, and we'll review what happened during the showcase last weekend. You're listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska.
Hi folks, Jim Jeffries for Michigan Trailers in Traverse City, Northern Michigan's volume leading utility trailer dealer. We have over 200 trailers in stock from America's top brands, including SureTrack, Impact, Cargomax, and now offering Air Tow. All clearly marked at volume value pricing. Add to that full service, parts, plus accessories, and Michigan Trailers can solve all your hauling needs. See us today on US 31 South across from Menards, Traverse City, or visit us online at michigantrailers.com.
If you're worried about the cost of continuing your education or where your talents lie, the Michigan Army National Guard has most of the answers. Your participation in a few yearly training exercises will make you stronger and part of a patriotic team. You will also receive up to $50,000 in scholarships towards your education, including training and placement in exciting tech and medical fields. Build your future and support your country. Apply to miarmyguard.com. That's miarmyguard.com.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2025 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite Northern Michigan businesses, organizations, and professionals as Simply the Best. Nominate once daily in each category through Friday, May 9th. In 2024, Simply the Best broke records with nearly 15,000 nominations and more than 29,000 votes. Help your favorites stand out above the rest. Voting begins May 12th. So nominate now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
It's a fantastic February at Sarah Ford in Gaylord and Kalkaska. Sarah Ford has super lease deals that you won't want to pass up, like a 2024 F-150 XLT for just $444 per month with trade assist and Ford Employees AZ plan. It's only slightly more for everyone else. Sarah has amazing lease deals on the fantastic Escape Hybrid with great fuel mileage. Get up to $9,500 in Ford factory rebates. Stop into Sarah Ford in Gaylord to Kalkaska for the best rates, best service, and best selection in the North. Sarah Ford, Sarah and Tease it.
Hey, it's Anthony Bellino from Spin on Sports, Michigan Sports Dog Morning Show on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 right here on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY. Whether it's Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings, Lions, Michigan State, the Big Ten, the Mid-American Conference, all the headlines, all the stories, and always Michigan teams first. It's all right here on Spin on Sports, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard locally on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY.
Welcome back to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska. Rich Calkins and Jerry Coyne in studio with you. And joining us now is the head coach of the Traverse City St. Francis Gladiators, Sean Finnegan. And Sean, it looks like you had quite the battle with the top-rated team in Division III last night with Glen Lake. Just came up on the short end of a 68-55 score.
Yeah, it was a good game. We were tied going into half, and you know, as I told the boys after, I was very proud of our effort and our toughness and a lot of things we did well. We always talk about playing for 32 minutes, and I think we probably were about 26 last night. You know, we had a small lull of offense where we kind of had some quick shots that we weren't really running our offense as patient as I would have liked. And then on the flip side, on the other end, Plamaden gets a couple offensive rebound and one putbacks that there was just a series of a few minutes that really hurt, and then we couldn't claw back.
Well, Jake Plumenden, it looks like he had his way in that game. He's a pretty good player, Coach.
He's a very good player. He's an absolute beast. And we've got multiple big guys we were throwing at him, trying to hang on him as best we could. And, he's going to get his. I will say I wasn't willing to show my hand completely yet, assuming that we're going to see him here in about 7 to 10 days. So I held back on a few defensive things. We'll see if it does any different the next time around.
Well, our signal doesn't get into Glen Lake, so I think you'll be okay.
How big a kid is he, Coach?
Well, every time I see him, I think he gets bigger. We were talking about that because Benji Allen is probably up about 6'4" now, and I remember him as a sophomore 2 years ago. He was about 5'11", so I'm thinking Jake's probably 6'6", maybe 6'7". But I'd probably put him in that 6'6" range, and wide shoulders, big legs. I mean, he's probably 230. I don't know.
Wow, that's a big kid.
Yeah,
and he's not fat. That's weight room muscle that he's working with. So he's a horse. He's a horse.
I was 60 pounds lighter at that age, at the same height.
Oh yeah, but Coach, those kids when you run up against them, you do everything you can and throw it at them. And again, unless like you said, you may meet them up in districts again, so you do got to hold something in your back pocket.
Yeah, we tried a few things last night that we were kind of experimenting with to see what we liked, and some we liked, some we didn't. Like I said, there's some other things that we're holding in our back pocket a little bit, and we'll throw the whole deck at them next time we see them. I know that, but it was a good opportunity for the boys to get some confidence, understand that that's a winnable game for us. We've felt that a lot this year, just coming up short in situations, but that's a winnable game. We gained some confidence last night, and we know that we can go in there and beat them. It's just we gotta play full 32 and take care of the ball a little more, value some possessions, and finish some on the defensive end.
Right. And Coach, I see you have Ludington coming up next. I've seen them personally. They've got some really good young guards, sophomores. It's a real young team. but they've got some talent, and that's going to be a team to contend with in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Thad down there does a really good job. He's been doing it a long time. He's a great coach. And you know with him, they're going to play fast. And by fast, I mean like 7-second shot clock, get the ball. He'll applaud it if they throw it out of bounds down the floor because they're pushing the ball. I mean, they want to run on a made basket. They'll have it inbounded in there to half court before some guy.
I love that.
Around. And then defensively, they throw a lot of junk at you. They pick up press, and he's got about 6 different defenses that he'll throw at you randomly, and hard to know where they're coming from.
Coach, I know you're not wildly pleased with your record so far this year, but what do you think of the progress of the team?
You know, we've gotten a lot better. Some of our youth, our sophomore guards have really grown up. You know, our 2 leading scorers last night were sophomore guards.
Okay.
Bolger had 18, and Bigsby had, I think, 14 or 15. And those are big nights for them. You know, our bigs, they're working hard. They're doing so many good things. They've come a long ways. They're seniors. They're just, I guess the struggle has just been, and we haven't rewarded ourselves in the paint like I would have liked us to. You know, we've had a lot of opportunities. Like that Elk Rapids loss this week. I mean, we should have won that game, in my opinion, by 10 or more. We
wow.
Shot 17 of 54, and probably 20 of those misses were layups.
Uh-oh.
And, you know, you're just not going to win games like that. So,
no.
You know, we've done so many good things. I'm proud of how the group's developed. I mean, the effort has never stopped. They've been tough. They've done everything we've asked, and they've gotten better. I look in the mirror and try and figure out, is there something I can do better to help put them in the position to get that reward, because they're doing so many things to be in that spot, and then we just can't seem to find a way to close the door sometimes. So, you know, but again, to their credit, they've been bought in all year. The effort's there every day in practice, every night in the gym. A tough group of kids, and you know, it's been a lot of fun so far coaching them.
I've seen that a couple of times. It's hard when you're to know what to do when your team is missing layups.
Yeah, you know, you get them in the right spot. You figure that's we've done our part. Usually, you think there, right?
Sure.
I mean, as we tell them, you know, layup's the first shot you ever learned to take. Before you dribble, before you pass, the first thing you ever did probably is start throwing a ball from the layup range at a hoop as a kid.
Yep.
And you know, we can rep it, we can work on finishing with contact and all that stuff, but so much of that is just between the ears.
Yeah.
You just got to slow down, focus, and finish. And you know, I feel for the kids, because it's almost been just comical at times how we can just miss layups. That what else can we do? I don't know what else we can do. Take more threes, I guess.
Yeah, Coach, I would like to go back to last weekend and just again congratulate you and your staff there at the showcase at Traverse City St. Francis for bringing up the teams of, you know, Hamtramck and Cass Tech and Wayne Memorial and all of these really top-notch basketball programs, and bringing them on a Saturday to Northern Michigan and giving a chance for these Northern Michigan teams to play them, Sean. It's just what an incredible weekend.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was a great day. It was, you know, I think I say this enough, probably to the point where my kids are starting to wonder if I want to coach them anymore. That's the day I wish we didn't have a game, so I could just sit and watch and not have to think about doing my job. But
sure.
Yeah, it was some good basketball. I mean, outside of our game at the end there, all 4 games before us finished within 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my goal as the director, is to give ourselves a tough one to battle, and then make sure the rest of them are competitive and try and make matchups that it doesn't end up in a blowout.
Yeah,
so I was very happy with how it went.
Yeah, you should be. It was a great display of basketball. Interesting to see the difference in the team. You know, you had Wayne Memorial there last year, and you could see the differences in that team, and then the shocker, of course, Marquette beating Cass Tech. I know Cass Tech was missing their All-American, but that Marquette team is good. You found that out the hard way the night before.
Yes, we did, and I would say, you know, they were a lot better in person than I thought they were on film. And we scouted a handful of games, and I guess that tells me some of those UP teams are pretty good because they didn't look nearly as athletic and nearly as fast as what they ended up showing. But it was it was an impressive team, and they're deep. You know, they play 12 kids, and they come in, they know their role, they're all bought in. They've got a little chip on their shoulder with how they, a little cockiness to them, which to do anything well, to be good, to really make a run, especially in Division I. I mean, you have to have a little bit of that chip on your shoulder, a little bit, your stuff doesn't stink kind of thing. And they have that, and then that horse in the middle. I couldn't believe how good a shape he was in, how athletic he was, and how hard he worked.
McPhee.
I mean, he was impressive.
The big ginger. He's good.
Yeah, when Cass Tech, you were there, they came in pretty late to that contest, and
the bus broke down on top of everything else.
Oh, no kidding!
Is that why they were late? I thought they were late because they're Cass Tech.
Wow.
For them, for how structured Steve is with his team and his staff, they have a routine, they have a system, and they were discombobulated. Sure. And you could see it, and Marquette pounced right on them.
Yeah, when they walked in the gym, I was standing. I wanted to see how big they looked. Way bigger than they did last year. They have some more size than the team that they brought up here last year. And then I was sitting next to some of the kids from Marquette, and I'm like, I hope you guys are ready for this, and they were.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They weren't playing on their heels at all.
Nope.
They were ready, and they were not only up for the challenge, they brought the challenge.
They did, yeah. Coach, that was the first time they had been pressed all year, and it was by Cass Tech, and they had no problem breaking the press.
No, and you can tell. I mean, they pressed themselves. So
yes, they were ready.
Deep like that, you can certainly get good reps in practice that you're able to put guys through situations that you're going to see in a game like that. So, having that depth definitely helps prepare you for those things.
That's true. When you have talent across the board, you can practice scrimmage against yourselves, and be better for it. And you can't say that about every basketball team.
No, and that was one of our biggest struggles 2 years ago when we went downstate. Is we could hardly practice with our five starters together. We didn't have a ton of depth, and I think that ultimately hurt us late. But we were about five deep, but with maybe 6.5 if you really included it. But trying to work on press and stuff with your starting group together when you got to constantly split them up to make it competitive, that's a challenge.
Yeah, well, Shaw, we do appreciate you joining us here, and continued success there with St. Francis. Again, like Jerry said, I know it's not always showing up in the record, but you can see the continued growth of your team. And again, thanks for everything you do for high school basketball in Northern Michigan.
I appreciate that, guys. Thanks, as always, for the support, and looking forward to talking to you guys again here soon.
Yeah, hopefully you get a nice little run in the tournament, Coach.
Appreciate that. We're hoping so too.
All right.
Sean Finnegan of Traverse City St. Francis joining us. So always good. I mean, that JC we talk about showcase is just fabulous.
Yeah, a gym rat's dream, and it's good hanging out. The coaches are all excited about it. I talked to Benzenberg. He's like, next year I'm gonna have my assistants take the kids back and watch and just stay and play and watch basketball.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. All right. When we come back, we're going to have Dan Brandt from the Grayling girls team, and we're going to have the announcement of the Michigan National Guard Student Athlete of the Week. You're listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska.
Tune in to Up North Sports Radio every Friday between 8 and 9 a.m. and then again at 5 and 6 p.m. for the Cross Country Ski Report. Brought to you by Hanson Hills, Old Lake Road in Grayling, and online at hansonhills.org. 101.1 WGRY, Up North Sports Radio.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2025 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite Northern Michigan businesses, organizations, and professionals as Simply the Best. Nominate once daily in each category through Friday, May 9. In 2024, Simply the Best broke records with nearly 15,000 nominations and more than 29,000 votes. Help your favorites stand out above the rest. Voting begins May 12th. So nominate now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Brr. Hello, my frosty friends. Jack Frost here. Feeling the chill? That's my handiwork. But even I think it's time to warm things up. This February, head to Odawa Casino Petoskey for winter warm-up hot seats. On Saturdays, February 8th and 22nd, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., 3 winners will be drawn every half hour to pick one of 5 toasty warm gift sets. Cozy prizes to melt even my icy heart. Don't let the cold get you down. Pull up a hot seat and have some fun. Only at Odawa Casino.
Wow, what a winter it's been. Hi, Tom Boland from Quality Truck and Auto in Grayling. We all love living here, but ice, snow, and salt don't love your truck or car. At QTA, we can undercoat your vehicle starting at just $500. As vehicle prices spiral, you'll need to protect your investment. QTA offers ceramic paint, corrosion, and undercarriage protection packages. Visit us at QTAonline.com or call us at 989-745-6127. QTA, the lifeguard for your baby.
It's a fantastic February at Sarah Ford in Gaylord and Kalkaska. Sarah Ford has super lease deals that you won't want to pass up, like a 2024 F-150 XLT for just $444 per month with trade assist and Ford Employees AZ plan. It's only slightly more for everyone else. Sarah has amazing lease deals on the fantastic Escape Hybrid with great fuel mileage. Get up to $9,500 in Ford factory rebates. Stop into Sarah Ford in Gaylord or Kalkaska for the best rates, best service, and best selection in the North. Sarah Ford, Sarah and Tease it.
It's time to announce the Michigan Army National Guard Student Athlete of the Week here on Up North Sports Radio. If you're worried about the cost of continuing your education, build your future, and support your country, apply to miarmyguard.com. miarmyguard.com.
Hi, this is Sergeant Caleb Franz, Michigan Army National Guard recruiter for the Grayling area. I'm proud to announce that the Michigan Army National Guard Student Athlete of the Week is Molly Montgomery from the Grayling Vikings. Congratulations, Molly. I'll be dropping by with some Michigan Army National Guard swag. Visit miarmyguard.com to set your career in motion.
Congratulations to the Michigan Army National Guard Student Athlete of the Week here on Up North Sports Radio's High School Scoreboard Show. If you're worried about the cost of continuing your education, build your future, and support your country, apply to miarmyguard.com.
Welcome back to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska. And joining us now is the head coach of the Lady Vikings, Dan Brandt. And Dan, congratulations on Molly Montgomery being named the Student Athlete of the Week, and also her having an incredible game last night with burying 6 threes.
Yeah, it was impressive. She's put in so much work over the past several months. I've been working with her since last spring. She got to the gym 3-4 days a week, just putting up shots. She said, what do I need to do to be able to shoot threes in a game? And I said, you got to make 1,000 before season. And she took on that challenge, and it paid off.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, no doubt. Chad Patterson was texting me last night after the game. And when I had called quite a few Grayling games through girls' games through the 12 years I did Grayling basketball, I can't remember another girls' player burying 6 threes.
No, yeah, we've been looking. We're not sure. We're pretty sure it might be a school record for us, for sure. With those 6 threes was huge for us last night.
Yeah, it was almost like she knew she was going to be named the Student Athlete of the Week, Coach.
Kind of something like that. Yeah, she's really stepped up and come on with Callie being out the last several games with a high ankle injury, and still kind of not 100% yet. So she's really stepped up and kind of held that on her shoulders and helped us stay in games.
Yeah, Coach. Do you think Callie will be ready for the tournament?
I think she'll be good when we get to the tournament time. She's about 75% right now. She's working hard in practice. She's just trying to get comfortable going again and going hard as she normally does. If we can get her back at 100 and Molly to play the way she's playing, I think we can do something special.
Yeah, it sounds like that. I listened to the second half of the game last night. and try to picture the game in my mind without Chad screaming so much. But it sounded like a really good ball game.
Yeah, these girls have no quit. They will fight to the very end. They battle, they scrap. We're not the biggest team out there, but they play hard, and they leave it on the floor, and they play for each other every single night.
Who's in your district, Coach?
Our district this year is Kingsley, the Sioux, Sheboygan, Kalkaska, and us.
Okay.
Okay. That's Coach. It sounds like a district that is winnable.
It is absolutely. We've beaten Boyne once. We've beaten Sheboygan once. The second two times we played both those schools, we didn't have Cal, and
right.
It was just kind of getting into our groove. Obviously the Sioux is going to be a tough squad. They're doing a great job right now this year. So that'll be a definite test. But it's nothing that's impossible.
Yeah, Coach. Because some of these districts, they put them together, and you have 3 or 4 top 10 teams in one district, and that just is absolute. There's going to be a lot of good teams that have to go home early.
Yeah, that's the tough part, and even with us, it's 5 and 6 teams. We're in the same conference together, so
right.
You beat a team for the third time, that familiarity and stuff like that. People want it a little bit more just because whether you got swipe twice during the season or you're splitting 1 or 1, you really want that, so it makes the games really exciting.
Yeah, exactly, Coach. Like you said, you play those conference teams over and over again. Usually when it comes to district time, there's not a whole lot of surprises about what you're going to see.
No, yeah, you're pretty informed with who you got playing and stuff like that. Everyone tries to throw some kind of monkey wrench in there, but it's pretty similar across the board once you see these teams for so many years and so many times in a row.
Yep, Coach, you finish out your last 4 games, all home games, starting off with Kalkaska early next week. What are you expecting from them?
I'm expecting us to play a lot better games than we played when we were there. We played sluggish when we were there, started slow. That was a game we didn't have our other starting point guard, Jill Hartman, one of our senior leaders. So now that we've got everyone kind of back, and I don't think Molly even scored in that game. So,
wow, you're kidding. That's crazy.
So, really the last 5 games, she's gone, 14, 14, 10, 21, 24 last night. So she's really kind of, just elevated her game completely. So, that's going to bring another, monkey in the wrench for these teams that we got coming this week. Cal getting back on the floor, not even scoring, her defense, just being as tall and as long as she is, makes it super difficult for teams to get around, through, over, with her presence on the floor.
Right. I know.
Is she?
She's
6'3", Molly?
Molly's only about 5'8".
Yeah, Callie's tall.
Callie's tall. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm getting.
Yeah. Now Callie's a senior, right, Coach?
Yep.
Yeah.
Callie's a senior along with Jill, Allie Holinsky, and Olivia Duba.
Okay, so Molly's coming back next year.
Yep, she's only a sophomore.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's real good things for the Grayling girls.
But Holinsky and Hartman, they've been in the program a long time. I'm sure there's some feeling in the locker room that you want to pay off that loyalty and all that hard work with a real deep run.
Oh, absolutely. 3 of those 4 seniors have played with me since their freshman year, even incoming freshmen going to teen camp with us. So definitely want them to go out on a high note and just continue to do what they've done. They've changed the culture for us. We went from a team that was winning 2 games a year to just under 500 or 500 the past several years, just because they've changed what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun to see their growth, and like you said, ultimately pay it off with a district and maybe further than that, obviously regional.
Yeah.
Those trophies in the trophy case.
Yeah.
When you come back to school, you're like, that's us.
That's exactly right. All right. Absolutely. All right. Well, Dan, once again, congratulations on the success, and hopefully Callie gets healed up here and you got your full allotment of your team so you can close out the season strong and make a big-time run in the playoffs.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. Dan Brandt from the Grayling Vikings, and again, student-athlete Molly Montgomery, the National Guard Student-Athlete of the Week.
Yeah, I know the Hartman gal and Holinsky gal. And
Yeah, good kids, good families.
They've worked extremely hard. Yeah. So,
yeah,
we'll see what they can do.
It would be awesome for sure, like you said, to put a trophy in the trophy case there for sure. When we come back, we have the other side of the Grayling coaching staff. We have LJ Mead from the boys' side of things from Grayling. You're listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska.
It's a fantastic February at Sarah Ford in Gaylord and Kalkaska. Sarah Ford has super lease deals that you won't want to pass up, like a 2024 F-150 XLT for just $444 per month with trade assist and Ford Employees AZ plan. It's only slightly more for everyone else. Sarah has amazing lease deals on the fantastic Escape Hybrid with great fuel mileage. Get up to $9,500 in Ford factory rebates. Stop into Sarah Ford in Gaylord or Kalkaska for the best rates, best service, and best selection in the North. Sarah Ford, Sarah and Tease It. Get the best deal anywhere on Shanty Creek lift tickets from QDealsMI.com. Q100 Michigan is saving you more on 2 Shush Mountain lift tickets than any other discount site can offer. 2 one-day lift tickets are just $100 at QDealsMI.com. That's a savings of up to $82. Varied terrain, well-maintained slopes, and friendly guest service create a spectacular Shanty Creek experience. Some blackout dates apply. Find a link on the Q100 Michigan homepage to QDealsMI.com.
If you're worried about the cost of continuing your education or where your talents lie, the Michigan Army National Guard has most of the answers. Your participation in a few yearly training exercises will make you stronger and part of a patriotic team. You will also receive up to $50,000 in scholarships towards your education, including training and placement in exciting tech and medical fields. Build your future and support your country. Apply to miarmyguard.com. That's miarmyguard.com.
Here in northern Michigan, Woodhaven Log and Lumber has all the log siding, knotty pine paneling, and custom wood products to make your home the gorgeous up north refuge that you deserve. Woodhaven Log and Lumber is family owned and operated right in Mayo, and they make each order custom to your exact needs and budget. See what your dream home can look like at woodhavenlog.com. Dare to have the home you've always wanted. woodhavenlog.com.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska. Rich Calkins, Jerry Coyne in studio with you. And joining us now is the head coach of the Grayling Vikings, LJ Mead. And LJ, we the last couple of games, we've got a couple of wins to talk about, both Lake City and Kingsley. Talk about those games.
Yeah, it was good to get back to some winning ways after having a tough stretch. The last game we at Kingsley got to travel through some snow, and it was a little bit of a slow start for us, a little sluggish start, but the kids played together, moved the ball really well, and got out of there with a win. And anytime you do that, it was great. And then Tuesday we have had our home game, senior night, parents' night, and got a win over Lake City. So it was a good week for Grayling basketball.
Yeah, no question, Coach. And looking at your schedule to close out the regular season, Manton, Kalkaska, and Harbor Light Christian, those are some games that you really should be able to have some success with.
Yeah, we talked this last week about stacking them now. We went through a tough stretch where we played some teams tough, and maybe we didn't shoot the ball well, or just couldn't find ways to win. And we got 2 wins this week, and if the kids, another thing we talked about, if we win out, kids guarantee themselves a winning season, no matter what happens in districts. So it is going to be a little bit of a challenge. We go back to back, and all 3 of them being on the road. So we're back to back Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday is a make game for Alpena canceled the game with us to make up some in-conference games. And with the weather that we've had this year, it's been a little bit of a challenge with games made up. And so nothing new to us. We played 2 weeks ago. We played Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So kids will be ready. The only unfortunate thing for us is we don't have that little bit of a planned break that we had built into our schedule before the district tournament.
Coach, who's in your district?
We have right now, when I last looked this morning, the way the NPR looked, that'll shut off tomorrow. But it looked like Sheboygan, with their win over Boyne City, was 1/100th of a point up on Boyne City. So Sheboygan and Boyne will get the bye. It looks like we will be the 3 seed, unless again anything changes over this today. Looks like we'll get the 3 seed and play host Kingsley on Monday, and then the Sioux and Kalkaska will play each other. Winner of that would play Sheboygan out of the top half of the bracket, and then the winner of Grayling versus Kingsley would play Boyne City in the bottom half of the bracket. And so
it's the same as the girls.
Again, a little bit of time for that one to play out. I don't know if there's any makeup games today or any scores that haven't been put in for the NPR, but that was what it was looking at the last time I looked this morning.
Yeah, and LJ, they do that. They shut it off the week before districts start, just so they can so people can start preparing for who you're going to match up with, who's got the buys, all that stuff. So you're not doing it on the very last weekend and surprise you play Monday,
Right, and unfortunately for us, losing a game. When I say losing, we had a game that didn't get got canceled, and then we picked up another game next Thursday, so that doesn't play into the role for us. And how they calculate that is 25% is your record, 50% is your opponent's record, and then 25% is your opponent's record. And the top 3 teams in our district were just within 6/100ths of a point of each other with that calculation. So we were a little bummed by not being able to get that game in.
Sure.
But it is, something like our district is a non-traditional district, so we are the host of the district this year. That being said, because Sault Ste. Marie is in our district and that travel, we're non-traditional, which what means is the team that is on the top of the bracket will actually host those games. And so, given a week to be able to figure that out and have the schools that will be hosting get officials and everything all set up, it does shut off a week before the end of the season.
Yeah. Now, Coach, so obviously they really weight heavily strength of schedule.
Yes. That was one thing that was good for us is we had in our district we had the highest strength of schedule, our opponent winning percentage, which is what kept us in it. Even though we had a streak there, we lost 5 in a row, and right now we're 9-10. That kept us right in the mix, and it wasn't until just after Thursday night's game that we dropped from the 2 seed to the 3 seed.
Yeah, but it's not. You've got it all figured out, Coach. And who's going to be in the top portion of the bracket, the bottom portion, and because a lot of coaches don't have that quite figured out yet, and you've got it right down to a T.
Well, it's something we've been looking at, and this year, and it was the first year that they actually ranked the entire district, or seeded the entire district. The last few years, they just get the top 2. Seeds, but so I think we're heading in the right direction with it, and I know our kids are looking forward to it. This is a goal for us at the beginning of the season. Was we knew we hosted, and we wanted to win a district title, and it won't be an easy road, but I think if we put everything together and our boys play the way that we are capable of, we have every opportunity in this district to be successful.
Coach, it's good to have you back on the program. Good luck with a very busy schedule next week, and march into districts. We'll be in touch with you soon.
Sounds great. I appreciate you guys.
All right. And remember, you can hear all of those Grayling games next week over on Q100.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, LJ.
Thanks, guys. Go Vikes.
All right. Go Vikes. All right, LJ Mead closing out the regular season. Again, March Madness for the boys this year starts the last week of February.
Yeah. I know the girls are a week behind, so
yes,
they change that. Change it every other year.
They do. They throw us curveballs every couple of years here to keep everyone on their toes, and So, yeah, that's exactly what takes place there, JC.
Yep.
Any scores to report from around either northern Michigan or down in some of the Metro Detroit?
Well, we heard from Coach Finnegan. They had a tough loss at Glen Lake, 68-55. Lake Leelanau beat Grand Traverse Academy, who's having a great year.
Yes, they are.
And who's the big-time scorer just had his, 2,000 points?
Yeah, James Cook's talked about it a couple times.
Well, I think it's Charlie Dennis, and he only had 10 points against Leelanau St. Mary.
Wow.
That guy, it's a guy that's been averaging like 26 points a game. So you can understand. A low-scoring game, 48-38. Gaylord surprised Petoskey at Petoskey last night.
So Gaylord's got their number. That is both time. Gaylord's won both of those games, even though Petoskey's got the better record, the better like that. It just seems like that's a tough matchup for Petoskey.
Yeah. Cadillac didn't have any problems traveling to Alpena last night. They won 50-28. Elk Rapids got on top of Charlevoix.
I did see that 53-49 at Elk Rapids. That's that Elk Rapids team is good, sitting on top of the conference there.
We had Grayling's ladies coach.
Yep, Dan Brandt.
Dan Brandt. They didn't discuss the score, but they did lose last night.
They did, yes. Yeah, and I couldn't find the final score.
It was 59-41.
59-41.
That game was a lot closer. The Kingsley pulled away late in the game. Grayling missed like 5 or 6 shots in a row, and Kingsley converted.
Yeah.
And
I noticed on McBain, they continue to roll in boys. They won 76-43 over Roscommon last night. Again, they've only, I believe, lost 1 game so far this year.
Yeah, and you were right. The Lady Snowbirds, Gaylord St. Mary's, lost to East Jordan 54-42. East Jordan's June Kilpatrick had 46 points. That's probably, I think that's the difference in the ball game.
Yep, scouting report, she made a lot of shots.
46. Good for you, baby.
Man, that is.
She might be the Michigan Army National Guard Player of the Week next week.
No question.
We got to find her coach.
We do, for sure. In girls basketball, Frankfurt, they continue to roll. Tim Resinch has got those gals playing really well. They beat Benzie 50-27. Let me see some other Bel Air girls. They 60-23 over Forest area. Yeah, let me see if anything else that stands out. Of course, the precursor to the boys' game last night in the Big North, the Traverse City Central girls beat TC West 55-39. They have they're two tallest girls. They're both 6'1". They just dominate the boards against West. West just doesn't have anyone to compete with.
No, they don't.
They just absolutely, both times I've watched them this year in those games, it's just their height, their size just is dominant for that Central team as they won their Big North Championship again in girls basketball. Girls basketball again, Harbor Springs beat Kalkaska 68-20. Really good Harbor Springs ladies team.
I'm trying to get some news on it. So the Catholic League finals were played last night, and Orchard Lake St. Mary's beat number 1 in the state, University of Detroit, 58-57. Wow. So I'm trying to get
some details
but
that.
The Instagram won't come off my phone.
Right.
Son of a.
Oh man! So per usual, that Catholic League championship is just worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and I don't see. I think the PSL championship is today. So Renaissance is playing King for the finals, and the winner of that game will play Orchard Lake St. Mary's in the Operation Friendship game.
Oh, okay.
So
that's what they're doing. The winners.
They always do that. They've been doing that
okay.
Ever since I was in. That's been going on for 50 years.
Right.
So. Pretty cool stuff.
Very cool. So that's probably their last regular season game then, most likely, their 22nd game, now that you can play 22 games in high school.
So yeah, that's what's happening across the board. As you mentioned, everybody's got their final week of regular season play, and then the following week we start our districts.
Yeah. Yep, it's do or die time at that point.
So that means our season is chugging to an
down,
end. Yeah.
I thought we just got on a roll here. So, but anything else coming up on? No, I think 101.1 here. We're on.
No hockey on the radio. No Detroit Pistons on the radio. The Pistons start up after the All-Star break next Wednesday against San Antonio. The Wings have another entire week off.
Yes. For the Four Nations battle.
Yeah. So Rich, I was telling you yesterday on Friday Faceoff that the Pistons have the second easiest schedule going forward. So they have the opportunity to maybe even rise in the standings and avoid right now they would avoid the play-in on the NHL, on the NBA side. Conversely, the Red Wings have the hardest schedule left in the NHL. They've got 28 games left. The winning percentage of the teams they have to play is almost 600.
Holy
It's like
cow.
587. And
so not just good teams, elite teams.
And 15 of the 28 games are on the road. So the Wings will have their cuts. Right now, they are the last team in on the Eastern Conference. So
if they can get in, they're going to earn their way in.
They are definitely going to earn their way in. Yeah. So just something to keep an eyeball on. As far as sports is concerned, tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, Michigan will play Ohio State, and you can listen to that game right here on Up North Sports Radio. Michigan, it'll be interesting to see where they raise up to. They were 22nd in the ratings, but they beat number 7 Purdue.
Yeah.
So if they beat Ohio State tomorrow, I would imagine they will get into the teens.
Yeah, sitting on top of the Big Ten
they
right now.
should. I mean, they're the number 1 team in the Big Ten. And next Saturday, they've got Michigan State.
Yeah.
So,
and that's always that last Michigan. That's always
they got Michigan State twice.
They haven't even played them yet.
They have not played Michigan State yet. They play them on Saturday, and then it's the last game of the Big Ten 2 weeks from now. So
before the tournament start, any of that stuff, the Big Ten. Well, we do appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll be right back here next week. You've been listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Gaylord and Sarah Ford Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Kalkaska.
This has been the Northern Michigan High School Sports Scoreboard Show, presented by Sarah Ford of Kalkaska and Gaylord for stress-free car shopping. Join us next Saturday at 10 with host Rich Calkins. Nobody loves high school sports like Up North Sports Radio.
Out there. We don't know if he's going to be somewhere else. Someone that we know if he wants to keep playing football will be somewhere else, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. The Jets made that official this week, announcing that they had informed him that under Aaron Glenn, their new head coach, they are moving in a different direction. There was also some reporting suggesting that they maybe gave him some stipulations if he wanted to stick around, like not doing the weekly Pat McAfee interview and things like that. I think some of that was intentionally leaked to make the Jets look a little bit better. Like, hey, we tried to make this still kind of work. That's what I think that was. But where does he go? That's we'll look at some of the offshore odds, because I think he really has to step back, maybe go on another ayahuasca trip and think about what does he want. Like, does he want to be a starting quarterback still? And if that's the case, it's a very short list of teams, in my opinion. Is he okay with playing and being go ahead.
Well, first thing first, I think is I have no problem with any of the stipulations that were out there. They were getting made fun of and beat up by they're dictating what show he can go on. That's ridiculous. No, it isn't. It's not ridiculous at all. Aaron Glenn's coming in to shift the culture to being team-focused. The Pat McAfee show is a great thing for Aaron Rodgers. It's a wonderful outlet. There's a lot of quarterbacks that do a lot of media. They don't stir up headlines. They are not a national story every single week. They're not being asked questions about politics and all kinds of things that create other unnecessary tension and drama. Those quarterbacks should be doing those things. If I was the Jets, I wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers doing the Pat McAfee show either, because it's not really done in a way, and I'm not trying to beat up Pat McAfee. The guy's a media institution at this point. He's a legend with what he's been able to carve out, but he doesn't play by any rules, really. That is not a normal media outlet where, as an example, Kirk Cousins was the quarterback here in Washington. And he came on my radio show every single week. I know you're in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes goes on the radio with Carrington, one of your colleagues, every single week. That's a very normal radio interview with pretty normal standard guidelines. We're not going to veer too far over here. We're not going to put you in a bad spot. We're going to ask the tough questions about performance as needed, those types of things. Pat McAfee and his buddies are basically trying, they're doing shtick at times too. Like, they're having fun. They're all about the viral YouTube clip. They want Aaron Rodgers to say something funny and not that's going to put him in a bad light, but they also don't really care about bad lights. I don't think necessarily. So it's a completely different thing to pretend like the Jets are telling Aaron Rodgers, he can't do a radio show on WFAN or something like that. That is not what we're talking about. That's number one. So I thought the blowback to some of that storyline, like, no. He has been a gigantic distraction since the moment he got there. And this is a guy that has to work not to be a distraction just by existing. Even if he didn't want to be, he can't just be one of the guys because he's such a big name. He's such a star. So by nature, Alex, he's going to be a distraction. You got to try really, really hard to mitigate that, and he doesn't.
No, absolutely not. I mean, the decision by Aaron Glenn, I love it. This is like, I don't care who the quarterback would be. Basically, like, I'm in charge now. This is going to be my thing. Everybody's going to be on the same page. Everybody's going to, for the most part, follow the exact same rules. I think that's what you have to do. That was an issue for Robert Saleh. He got ran over, man. Robert Saleh is going to be a great defensive coordinator again out in San Francisco, and maybe he'll have a chance at a head coaching gig again. But he got ran over. The whole organization did by Aaron Rodgers. They let him dictate everything, and he left them, $75 million with 5 wins to show for it. He left them using a 3rd-round pick on Devontae Adams, who won't be there after this offseason anyway. He got them to sign Nathaniel Hackett. He just go on and on and on, all these things that he left a path of destruction, and it was time to move on, right? It was absolutely time to move on. And you got to like what Aaron Glenn was able to do in that regard.
You know how I know you're not a movie guy?
I'm the captain now is what you're going for, yeah.
Yes, I'm in charge now. It was a great opportunity to go full Captain Phillips on everybody.
Oh, I knew. I did locally, if it makes you happy. I did locally, but I didn't bring that to the table today. My apologies. But Aaron Glenn is definitely saying he's the captain now, and he is.
He absolutely is. It's his boat, and he's taking that sun gun over. And I'm happy for him. I think he should, and run this thing how you want to. Also, we have reached a point, like there's an X and Y access point where performance makes your nonsense okay. When you're Manny Ramirez, when you're Aaron Rodgers, when you're any of these guys that come, I don't want to call it baggage, but like with annoying little things that we've got to deal with. And my thing I always say is, Manny being Manny is cool when you're hitting 30 bolts and driving in 120, right? Manny being Manny is a lot less cute. All the dumb stuff you're doing in left field, all the nonsense where you're pushing traveling secretaries. When you're hitting 227 without power, it's not that fun anymore. Aaron Rodgers did not play that well last year, period. And the year before, he was hurt and had a torn Achilles, and he's now old. And, I mean, are you sure that you're going to get top-of-the-league production from Aaron Rodgers? How could you possibly be? Look at the metrics. Look at the numbers. I don't mean counting stats. I mean, go through, like, rated stats and see where he stacks up among quarterbacks. He's bottom 10 in the NFL in a lot of things last season. So he's got a lot of improving he's got to do. Now, is it possible that he, a year further away from the Achilles, gets better? Sure, I guess that's possible. But it is really hard for me to find a fit, to go back to that question. And I don't mean a team specifically, because that's even harder. But I'm just trying to think of the type of team. Like, what type of team would want Aaron Rodgers right now? If you're on the verge of a Super Bowl and you feel like you're really good but you need a quarterback, there's not that many of those. I don't know if there is one, but that's a type of team. Is he the guy after the way he played last year with the attention that comes with him, with the distraction that he is inevitably going to be, bringing in a guy? Like, he is not a last piece in guy, in my opinion, because there's too much gravity around him. Like, he does his own thing too much. So I think you cross that type of team off. If you're a bad team that doesn't have a quarterback and you're just trying to elevate your club into, middling territory, why does he want to do that? Like that, and why would you go pay him a bunch of money to do that? So I don't know that works. Like, what is the fit for him? I can't think of it.
Well, yeah, there's definitely, for each side, it's different. If you pick on one team, like if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm very much interested in a team like the Steelers. If I'm the Steelers, why am I interested in Aaron Rodgers? And I think that's what you're talking about, the difference on how do you get the perfect match.
The Steelers are the team I was just talking about, aren't they? They're the close, like, Super Bowl caliber team that needs a quarterback. But do you think he comes in and plays your game, Mike Tomlin? Just Mr. Steeler lines up? No chance, man.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I want Pittsburgh. Like, if I'm Aaron, that's the place I want to go. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, are the Steelers are the Steelers interested in Aaron Rodgers? I'm not so sure. Real quick, let me run through the offshore odds. We can continue this conversation. Steelers are the favorites right now to land Aaron Rodgers, plus 225. Raiders plus 250. 49ers 4-1. Vikings and Titans both 5.5 to 1. Colts and Rams 7 to 1. Giants sitting at 10 to 1.
All right, go back through those one at a time. I just want to go rapid reaction. So first one is Steelers. You just said it. Great for Rodgers. Pittsburgh, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Someone could say, well, that would be the best quarterback they've had in a while. Are we sure? Again, he played at a comparable level last year, probably, to Russell Wilson. Who's next?
Raiders.
So you'd be linking him up with Pete Carroll. They're not close to winning. What's the point there for the Raiders?
Well, the point for the Raiders I don't get. But if you are Aaron Rodgers, I don't think the Raiders. Why are you going there? You have to be willing, if you're Aaron Rodgers, to play for a bad football team, in my opinion, to start. Because I know everybody's going to look for the Steelers, but I don't think they're interested. So he has to be willing to play for a team like the Raiders, like the Titans. Next on the list, the 49ers, 4 to 1.
Well, are we deciding? I keep seeing them linked to all these quarterbacks. When did I get miss the memo that they're not locking up Purdy for $60 million, which is going to happen, by the way? Am I wrong? Like, what am I missing?
I think that's happening.
They're saying goodbye to Deebo Samuel. Partially, the part of the reason that's a big story this week is because they've got $60 million set aside for Brock Purdy.
No doubt, and the reports are Deebo's overweight, but that could also be them leaking that out on purpose. He's 20 pounds overweight.
Get in line. It's a fun place to live. So you can sit right behind me.
Yeah, man. So, like, look, the only thing this changed once I saw Darnold's playoff performance, and I know you're not sold on Darnold. I understand it, but if you would have asked me, and I was talking to one of our video producers, Zach, before the show about this, a month and a half ago, I actually thought there should be some thought, if I'm the Niners, to trading away Brock Purdy, a tag and trade, and signing Sam Darnold, and just moving on and say we just don't want to pay him $60 million. We'll pay Darnold half of that, and use the draft assets and the money elsewhere to solve problems that we have on this roster that's starting to age a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen, but that was a scenario that I actually was very interested in, having Darnold, knowing that he was with Kyle Shanahan the year prior.
I would do something like that. I just don't think they're going to. Like, it's really hard to convince these teams after they have drafted and developed and groomed and brought along and spent time and energy and effort. It's go to a company. Like, I invested a lot in this person. I have made them what they are. Now they've become the thing. And it's the thing, by the way, that's the hardest to find in my industry. And I'm going to say, no thanks. We'll just have a little bit worse version of you for less money. I don't think so. I mean, more teams would do it if it was
teams
a
don't operate that way.
Exercise. Like, who's done it? I mean, there really isn't much precedent of that, of having a guy play at a level that gets you to conference championship games, and then you say no thank you when it's time to pay.
And a Super Bowl. And in this case, a Super Bowl. I mean, Brock Purdy, he was not that far away from winning a Super Bowl. He lost in overtime to Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, I hear you. I'm not saying it's likely. You're right. I mean, there's plenty of teams, I think, in hindsight that wish they did. I mean, we knew Tua was always going to get paid in Miami, but there was the argument, like, they probably should not have paid him. The same thing can be said for a lot of these guys. It's just the way the league works. If you're a young quarterback, if you're a top 12 to 15 quarterback in the league, and you're on a rookie deal, you're probably getting paid. That's just what we've. Now, I think some teams should rethink that, but you're right. That's just not how this league goes, because we all now assume if you're just a young quarterback, you're going to get paid if you're not bad and you were drafted. Like Bo Nix. All right, it's only 1 year, but if Bo Nix just keeps playing at this level, Bo Nix is one day going to be, for at least a month or two, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in football here in about 2.5, 3 years. He just will.
That's how it works. Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, having been on the other side of it, where Washington tagged Cousins a couple times and then let him walk, and then they went through 7 years of quarterback hell, right? What I would say is that when you pay a quarterback like Tua, who I personally don't think is as good as the Dolphins do, right? I think he's pretty good. We saw this year when they didn't have him, they were awful, and when they had him, they were a very solid, competitive team, right? He's a good player. Is he special? Is he elite? No. Are you going to win a Super Bowl with him? Probably not. But they paid him the $55 million or whatever. What I would say is when you do that, and then you keep not winning the Super Bowl, or in his case, he has another injury, or the team doesn't play well, everyone points and says, "See, I told you." But what I would say is you have to then think, okay, if he wasn't there, who would be? And I would be going, "See, I told you." Like, it wasn't as though the Dolphins, had they have not signed Tua, would this year have just gone and won the Super Bowl with somebody else. What would have happened potentially, and more likely, is they would have been worse than they were with Tua. You see what I'm saying? So, had Washington, I'm just going to go back to the other example, had paid Kirk Cousins what the Vikings did. Well, he went to Minnesota. He put up huge numbers. They were awesome offensively. Not because of him, but they didn't win a whole lot in the playoffs or whatever. And, people will say, "See, they shouldn't have paid him." And I'm going, well, actually, here's what happened when he left, is they went through 7 guys in 7 years, and, they were way worse, and they had Mark Sanchez starting games and Josh Johnson starting games. And so I think it's viewed as like the put the stamp down, boom, shouldn't have paid him. And it's like, well, no, by paying Tua, you remained a competitive team every single year, which maybe was their goal. Maybe their goal is, let's not ever have the bottom fall out. Let's make the playoffs a bunch with 10 wins, and let's hope one of those years we could be the team that